Spectrum store today.
Even the mighty might not see it coming. It's prediabetes, and it captures 1 in 3 adults. But you can escape. Take the 1-minute prediabetes risk test to know where you stand and prevent or delay type 2 diabetes. Be your own hero on smartphones everywhere at doihaveprediabetes.org.
Spectrum News Plus. Local stories, connecting communities. Streaming now on the Spectrum News app and free with your Spectrum subscription.
I'm Sharon Tazwell. Here's your Spectrum News in 90. President Trump is granting an exemption on auto tariffs on Mexico and Canada for 1 month. The move comes as the president says a phone conversation with Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau Wednesday ended, quote, somewhat friendly.
Reciprocal tariffs will still go into effect on April 2nd. The president is giving them an exemption for 1 month so they are not at an economic disadvantage.
Meanwhile, the Supreme Court is rejecting Trump's freeze on billions of dollars in foreign aid already approved by Congress. Ukrainian and U.S. officials have agreed to meet in the near future as the Trump administration pauses military aid to Kyiv. U.S. officials Wednesday suggested they have also paused sharing intelligence with Ukraine. It's a move Kyiv warns will benefit Russia. Democrats continue to criticize the president's foreign policy.
What President Trump has continued to do is to bring adversaries closer and to push allies away. And what that does is make us less safe.
Deadly storms that ripped roofs from buildings in Oklahoma moved east Wednesday, spawning tornado warnings in the south. Heavy snow struck the Midwest. Pacific storms are expected to bring widespread rain and mountain snow across California from Wednesday into Friday. And that is a look at your Spectrum News in 90.
Meteorologist Nate Harrington. It's day 2 of a high-impact storm system rolling across the country from the Midwest now across the East Coast, and hazards from the upper Midwest all the way down to the Florida Peninsula. A lot to track over the next 24 hours with more blizzard conditions and severe storms, extreme wind and cold air behind the storm. We've got another storm system ready to move on to the West Coast. More details in your forecast coming up.
A sigh of relief for some in the auto industry as President Donald Trump says he will delay industry tariffs on Mexico and Canada. But it won't last forever. Thanks for joining us. I'm Sharon Tazwell. The president granted an exemption on auto tariffs on both countries for just 1 month. It comes as the president suffers new legal losses amid ongoing efforts to overhaul the government. Spectrum's Taylor Popularis kicks off our coverage from outside the White House.
36 hours after he slapped large tariffs on products coming from Canada, Mexico, and China, President Donald Trump granted some exceptions.
We spoke with the big 3 auto dealers. We are going to give a 1-month exemption on any autos coming through USMCA.
White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt confirming Trump spoke with the heads of General Motors, Ford, and Stellantis on Wednesday. They agreed to a 1-month pause on tariffs being placed on cars imported under the trade deal the president signed with the leaders of Canada and Mexico during his first term. The move comes after Trump acknowledged during his joint address to Congress Tuesday night that his use of tariffs will likely raise prices for Americans, at least in the short term.
There'll be a little disturbance, but we're okay with that. It won't be much.
Leavitt said the president's honesty should be refreshing, even though he campaigned on instantly lowering prices.
The president told the truth, and he was realistic, and he level set with the American people.
The president says he imposed the tariffs to get the 3 countries to stop the flow of fentanyl into the U.S., as well as to boost manufacturing in America. Trump said on Truth Social he had a somewhat friendly call with Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau on Wednesday, but accused Trudeau of trying to use this issue to stay in power. Canada has begun putting 25% retaliatory tariffs on $155 billion of imports from the U.S. over the next 3 weeks. Leavitt said this when asked how long Americans should expect to pay higher prices.
And I don't have a crystal ball, but what I can assure the American people is that this president and this administration is doing everything they can.
The president has repeatedly said that he considers tariffs to be the ultimate negotiating tool, even though most economists warn they only end up hurting Americans in the long run. Leavitt said the president is still planning to impose widespread reciprocal tariffs on April 2nd against any country he considers to be an unfair trading partner. Reporting at the White House, Taylor Popolars, Spectrum News.
Meanwhile, President Trump Wednesday suffering yet another legal blow. The Supreme Court rejecting Trump's request to keep billions in foreign aid frozen. Spectrum's Evan Kozloff joins us from Washington. Evan, break down what the ruling from the High Court means, and it's not the only setback Trump suffered Wednesday.
Right, so this all centers on roughly $2 billion in foreign aid funding from the U.S. Agency for International Development. That's the USAID. You may recall President Trump has been railing against this agency and tried to freeze the funding, but the Supreme Court had to weigh in when a federal judge ordered the release of some of this funding. In the end, 2 conservative justices actually joined with the 3 liberal justices to rule against the Trump administration, rejecting their efforts to freeze this funding. This is all a big deal because it's the first major ruling by the justices on Trump's efforts to reshape the government, so it does offer some clues about future rulings we might see. Meanwhile, Sharon, this wasn't the only setback. As you mentioned, also on Wednesday, we saw a big decision by what's called the Merit Systems Protection Board. That's an independent agency within the executive branch. It ordered that the Department of Agriculture needed to reinstate nearly 6,000 probationary federal workers who were fired.
Evan, Elon Musk is holding a private meeting with senators on the U.S. Department of Government Efficiency, known as DOGE. It comes as the administration is planning another round of federal layoffs. What can you tell us about that?
Right, these layoffs have really just been relentless. Nearly every day we learn of new plans for mass firings. The latest agency, the Department of Veterans Affairs. An internal memo surfaced this week outlining plans to cut over 70,000 jobs at the VA. The largest federal worker union seized on this news, writing in part, veterans and their families will suffer unnecessarily and the will of Congress will be ignored. Sharon?
All right, Evan Kozloff in Washington. Thanks.
Thank you.
Storms turned deadly Wednesday, creating blizzard conditions out west and bringing tornadoes across communities in the central to eastern U.S. Severe weather warnings were issued in the Carolinas, Florida, and Virginia. Spectrum's Robert Guadarrama reports on the latest conditions.
A line of destructive storms making its way across the country. Snow in Iowa created whiteout conditions along I-80. This video captured by a state trooper overnight. In Kansas, strong wind blowing snow sideways. In Louisiana, wind peeling off the roof of the Clay County Courthouse and a raging Mississippi River near Baton Rouge as the area was inundated with rain. Officials reporting a number of homes and businesses were damaged. The storm also to blame for widespread power outages. Wednesday, the system moved into the eastern seaboard and with it damaging winds and severe thunderstorm and tornado warnings across parts of Georgia, the Carolinas, and Virginia. In North Carolina, massive trees were uprooted and homes damaged. The rain possibly good news for fire teams there, where dozens of wildfires continue to burn across the state.
The fire is getting bigger and bigger.
But the system has not been favorable down south, where several damaging fires across the Lone Star State Tuesday are still burning, fueled by the high winds.
Sinton is on fire.
They evacuated us because it got real black and like 3 houses caught on fire there where we live at.
This resident's house was spared by the Welder Complex fire, burning about 30 minutes northwest of Corpus Christi. It's one of several fires being monitored by Texas fire authorities. Forecasters are tracking the system of rain and high winds as it moves up into the northeast into Thursday morning.
And Robert Guadarrama joins us now. And Robert, this system is believed to have spawned several tornadoes. What can you tell us about that?
Yeah, Sharon, luckily no major tornadoes are being reported, but some weaker ones are believed to have caused some damage. Around about a half dozen EF1 tornadoes is what we are thinking took place in towns across Louisiana, Oklahoma, Texas, and North Carolina. In South Carolina, the National Weather Service is actually looking into damage caused from another tornado in the Columbia area.
Oh my, an active day for sure. Robert Guadarrama, thank you. Vice President J.D. Vance, along with other top Trump officials, visiting the U.S.-Mexico border Wednesday. We're on the ground in Eagle Pass, Texas, as the White House continues a crackdown on illegal immigration.
We said we'd never break the 3-second rule. Never do that. And never become a minivan mom.
Hey, Chris.
As parents, we say never a lot, but never happens. So when you say you'd never leave your child in a hot car, know it can happen. Before you leave the car, always stop, look, lock.
I really am in the middle of nowhere. Every day is different. Chores, come on, homeschooling, and then I fit in the rug business. I just got a new batch of rugs that I'd love to show you. I have a website, and a lot of what I do is sharing my home life. Mommy's leaving. Reliable, high-speed internet is the foundation of our business. Spectrum was great. They went out of their way to make sure that I was okay and I was taken care of. Shoo! And that's the awesomeness of having Spectrum.
I'm an ex-drug dealer, and I'll be your sub today. Two milligrams of fentanyl can be lethal. A lethal dose is in here. Who gets it, I won't know.
It's cheap, it's potent, and it's profitable.
The sad reality is fentanyl is being mixed into everything now.
More kitchen now.
You're not gonna get it all right. Just make sure you nail the big stuff.
Mama!
Like making sure your kids are in the right seat for their age and size. Get it right at nhtsa.gov/the-right-seat.
It's your weather on the ones. In the Midwest on Tuesday night, blizzard conditions were possible from Minnesota all the way down to the Kansas City metro area. This video is from Omaha, Nebraska. Now, while everyone in that blizzard warning didn't exactly see blizzard-like conditions, this is rough stuff with winds upwards of 50 to 60 miles per hour, blowing snow, reducing visibility at times. It was a rough go early this morning. Then the storm system continued to roll across the country in the Midwest and upper Midwest from the Great Lakes all the way down across the East Coast, providing severe weather from the Carolinas up into Virginia. Blizzard conditions and heavy snowfall in the upper Midwest and heavy rain up and down the I-95 corridor. Look at all these damage reports. High wind damage reports from the Gulf Coast states of Louisiana through Mississippi and Alabama late on Tuesday night, and then by Wednesday it was all about the Carolinas up into Virginia, and a few tornadoes are going to be investigated in the Carolinas as we head through our Wednesday. Heavy rainfall and wind reports in the upper Midwest, and like we said, not everyone saw those blizzard conditions we were talking about, but the snowfall and those gusty winds sure did make it very treacherous out there early Wednesday morning. This storm system will continue to roll across the East Coast late on Wednesday, early on Thursday, while we fill in folks in the Intermountain West and the Rocky Mountains seeing another dose of very heavy snowfall, and this could pile up and see another foot to foot and a half of snow in some of the higher elevations out west. So winter not quite done, and cold air not quite done either. Temperatures continue to drop from the upper Midwest to the Great Lakes states and even down south. Numbers well below average. From New Orleans to Atlanta to Raleigh and Little Rock, more cold air out west. And it looks like we're going to see a flip-flop in our temperatures as we head into the weekend of next week. More details coming in your extended forecast in 10 minutes.
What you need to know. President Trump grants an exemption on auto tariffs on Mexico and Canada for 1 month. Trump's broader reciprocal tariffs are set to take place next month. Chinese hackers and government officials have been charged in a major global hacking campaign targeting U.S. agencies, news organizations, and universities. The U.S. says it caused millions of dollars worth of damages. And Texas Congressman Sylvester Turner has died at age 70. He died just 2 months after taking office and hours after attending the president's congressional address. His family is citing health complications. That's what you need to know. Vice President J.D. Vance visiting the U.S.-Mexico border Wednesday, highlighting tougher immigration policies. Vance, alongside Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth and Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard, delivered remarks from Eagle Pass.
A number of Border Patrol agents who have come up to me and said thank you, or said because of this, we've cut the number of border crossings from 1,500 a day to 30 a day. And every single day that we continue to keep this border safe, that means less migrant crime, that means less fentanyl coming into our communities, that means more safety and security for the people of the United States of America.
And that's where we find Spectrum's John Salazar. John, break down more of Vance's message Wednesday, and what is the significance of the visit?
Well, Sharon, I can tell you that the message coming from J.D. Vance, as well as the Defense Secretary and the Director of National Intelligence, is border security is national security, and that message was strong. Now, after Vice President J.D. Vance landed here on the U.S.-Mexico border, which was in Del Rio, about 45 minutes north of where we are now, they did a helicopter tour to look at the infrastructure that was put in place by the Trump administration, as well as the state of Texas. Now, keep in mind that the state of Texas has been very proactive, beginning in the middle of the crisis about 4 years ago, and Texas has spent some $11 billion on border security. That includes razor wire, surveillance, as well as building our own walls for the state of Texas. Now, after that helicopter tour, J.D. Vance and his leaders from D.C., they made their way down to a Border Patrol station, which is just south of town here. They did a briefing there, and then they ended up directly behind me in Shelby Park. The message again, border security is national security.
Yeah, John, you have been covering the U.S. migrant crisis for quite a while now. Have you seen or noticed a change in immigration enforcement across Texas? And also, what has the reaction been by those who live in the state?
Sharon, that's a great question that does not get asked often enough, and I will tell you that the migration flow began to radically slow down a year ago in January of 2024 after negotiations were had by the Biden administration and the government of Mexico. Mexico got serious about stopping the flow coming in from the south, and we saw the numbers quickly begin to reduce in January of 2024. Then in June, President Biden put in place what is considered an asylum ban, and the numbers have continued to go down. Then just in January, 1 month after President Trump took office, we saw the numbers continue to go down even further. There was a reduction of almost 40% in illegal crossings here along the southwest border. And so this discussion that you and I and our people at home have been listening to is not going away. It was clear that they came down here to congratulate the state of Texas, to tell Border Patrol stay the course, and to tell them that they would get now help from the Defense Secretary on any assets and resources they need, and then they're going to get intel from the federal government. Sharon?
All right, John Salazar, thank you so much reporting from Eagle Pass, Texas. Florida is becoming a pickleball paradise. Just ahead on Spectrum News, how the sport is expanding in popularity.
millions of school-age children across the country, the state of their schools can have a lasting impact on their health and well-being.
The majority of school districts aren't doing comprehensive regular water quality testing.
As CO2 levels rise in a space, cognitive function takes a direct decline.
We visit 2 school districts working to create safe and healthy environments for their students.
Watch Exploring Your Health, Curing Our Classrooms. Available on the Spectrum News app.
Starting a business is hard. You have to stay connected at all times.
As we've been growing the studio, Spectrum's been there every step of the way. I'm always able to make the phone call that I need. I'm able to shoot that text message or that email. Every vital piece of equipment that we have here uses Spectrum.
Fast, reliable internet, starting at $40 a month, backed by the Spectrum commitment to keep your business connected.
I tell my son, I love you every single day. Now, my dad has never said that to me. Not because he doesn't love me, but because culturally it wasn't comfortable for him. Now that he's a grandfather, he says, I love you to my son every time he sees him. My advice to all the fathers out there, forget the cultural restrictions. They grow up way too fast for you to waste even a single precious moment.
Food isn't just fuel to live, it's fuel to grow. My family relied on public assistance to help provide meals for us. These meals fueled my involvement in theater and the arts as a child, which fostered my love for acting. The Feeding America network of food banks helps millions of people put food on the table. When people are fed, futures are nourished. Join the movement to end hunger, and together we can open endless possibilities for people to thrive. Visit feedingamerica.org/actnow.
Weather on the ones. We told you winter not quite done yet. Now these are wind chill numbers as we wake up on Thursday morning. Numbers in the teens as far south as Columbus, Ohio, Chicago, Minneapolis, Bismarck, North Dakota, with the feels like numbers anywhere between 10 and 20 degrees. And you're going to see feels like numbers in the 20s as far south as Atlanta and Nashville. Some very cold air, some very breezy conditions on Thursday morning as that area of low pressure exits stage right. So by Thursday night and Friday, a couple little lobes of low pressure in the upper levels will mean some areas of light snow, light rain in the Midwest, down in the Four Corners region. Again, we're not expecting a lot of active weather heading into Friday and the weekend ahead. We'll watch the southern plains and the Gulf Coast states for a little bit of rainfall on Saturday and possibly on Sunday, but it looks like most of that will stay down to the south into Florida by Sunday, and most of the rest of the country as we round out the weekend is looking very quiet, but also very warm. Heading into the weekend and early next week, a big temperature flip-flop is coming. Numbers will be chilly out to the west on Friday, but also some cooler air resides in the northern tier of states, while we start to see a little warm-up down south. Temperatures in the 70s and 80s in the southern plains. More warm air from Atlanta to New Orleans to Raleigh. Temperatures near and even above average, while we start to see some cooler than average temperatures take over in the upper Midwest and also out west. And then you start to see the big temperature change. Notice by Friday, Saturday, Sunday, well above average temperatures from the Intermountain West all the way over to the East Coast. A couple of little exceptions. We'll have some clouds and a few showers up in the north and east, so New York's temperatures will stay fairly steady, but pretty much everywhere you look, except for the desert Southwest and out west, you're going to see a cooler than average temperature regime set up as we head into early next week. So this is March 10th through March 14th. So this is next Monday and into the middle of next week and late stages of next week. Very cold air across the western side of the country. Temperatures 10 to 15 degrees below average from Southern California up into the mountains and the Sierras. We're expecting some possibility of some more snow. And then look how much territory this covers. A lot of warm air from the deep south to the upper Midwest next week.
It's all the a craze. Pickleball is the fastest growing sport in the U.S. and participation is increasing rapidly. Business owners in Florida are teaming up to make the sport even more accessible. Spectrum's Olivia Stacy has details in this week's Beyond the Sport.
St. Petersburg Pier has become a pickleball paradise.
You can see the weather, the location, and being able to play pickleball out here is, once in a lifetime, one of a kind thing.
This first ever pop-up event is powered by St. Pete Athletic, a local group bringing a 45,000 square foot athletic and social club to the Warehouse Arts District this spring.
We are scheduled to open by this summer. In fact, the big announcement recently, we have Major League Pickleball. We're one of 10 locations throughout the country.
St. Pete Athletic co-owner Graham D'Amico first discovered pickleball during the pandemic in 2020. Since then, it's been life-changing.
I think the biggest thing is there's some idea, and maybe from other sports, that, it's too easy or it's not competitive, or I think you just need to try. And a little warning to everyone, once you do, you may become addicted. It's very common.
To enhance access, they've teamed up with Parkview for the pop-up.
Right now you're seeing live views of the pop-up pickleball at the St. Pete Pier.
Parkview provides real-time live streams of Tampa Bay parks.
People are easily able to check their favorite local parks very quick and efficiently to just see how busy it is, the real-time weather conditions.
So if you're curious as to how crowded the courts are or the weather conditions, you can know before you go.
Head over with friends. If you see a court free and you grab 3 friends, you can go fill it. Or even if you're single and solo and want to join a group, it makes it so it's so you can find that court that you want to join.
These business owners met through pickleball, which is why they're so passionate about making the sport accessible to everyone.
It's just really being a resource for people to be able to easily find that information in real time. And I know for like a lot of our team members, we met most of our friends and relationships we formed throughout our life are through sports. So that's really it's really about building a community.
Organizers say there's no excuse to miss the event, which runs until March 16th. And if you've never picked up a paddle before, not a problem.
And it works for all ages and skill levels. So no matter if you're 6 or you're 80, you can play right away, you can have fun, and it's competitive.
A perfect place to discover a new sport and serve up a good time.
LeBron James has become the first person in NBA history to score 50,000 career points. That includes points earned from both the regular season and playoff games. Well, James hit the record Tuesday nights during a game against the New Orleans Pelicans. But the 40-year-old is already the all-time leading scorer in the league's history. The only other player within reach of James's score is Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, who scored just over 44,000 points in his career. The 2026 Men's World Cup final will be historic. For the first time since its debut in 1930, the legendary events will have a halftime show. FIFA's president says British band Coldplay is among those who will help produce the performance. No word yet on if Coldplay will take the stage. Well, the United States, Canada, and Mexico are co-hosting next year's tournaments. The final, scheduled for July 19th, will take place at New Jersey's MetLife Stadium. I'm Sharon Tazwell. Thanks for watching. Your Spectrum News in 90 is coming up right after this short break. Stay with us.
Friday nights, The Big Deal with Errol Lewis, where Spectrum News' local political journalists break down the most important issues shaping our nation.
Our journey towards improving mental health doesn't always present a clear path. Every Thursday on Your Mental Health, we listen to voices across our communities, discussing the challenges of everyday life and presenting accessible resources to guide us along the path to our well-being, providing hope and empowering choices that light the way to a healthier you.
Your Mental Health with Dr. Nicole Clark, Thursdays on Spectrum News Plus, available on all your favorite devices.
It's game time at the arena, and 20,000 fans are looking for a win. With an ultra-high-speed network and seamless Wi-Fi, fans can get in the door fast and share the game's best moments in real time. And with Spectrum Business committed to keeping them connected 100% of the time, they won't miss a second of the action. A secure, reliable connection from Spectrum Business means the fan experience is a guaranteed win.
Whether it's our stories, the warmth of our laugh, or our family's secret sauce, we all bring something different to the table. So make some space. The power of connection is waiting right outside your comfort zone. Learn how you can help strengthen your community at belongingbeginswithus.org/teamup.
Weather can be beautiful, inconvenient, and at times powerful. And it affects everything we do. At Spectrum News Plus, our weather experts update you with the information and the context you need so you can better plan your day. And we do it every 10 minutes. We're the calm in the storm. Weather on the Ones on Spectrum News Plus, exclusively on Spectrum. And get your weather anytime on the Spectrum News app. Spectrum News Plus. Local stories, connecting communities. Streaming now on the Spectrum News app and free with your Spectrum